When I was watching my last video about detachment, there was like a bunch of things I wanted to add or a bunch of things I wanted to correct. I feel like I'm always trying to think like, how could I contradict myself, or how could this like be misinterpreted, which is like a blessing and a curse, I think, because it helps me maybe communicate better, but it also is like just a lot sometimes. But in that video, I said something about how it's okay to hurt people when you're like being yourself. And I just want to clarify what I meant by that. Like, I'm not condoning like cheating or like any of those kinds of things where you're like obviously hurting someone. Although I do even think like those things have a purpose and we're all meant to like play certain roles in people's lives. But that's just like how I would look at the past and like forgive myself for the past. That's not how I think you should go into your life, like thinking like, well, if I do this bad thing, then it's because it's meant to happen. Like, you should obviously try to be a good person and not hurt people. But really what I meant is that it's okay if your absence hurts someone, or it's okay if you not being there for someone, not people pleasing, not overly extending yourself for someone, sacrificing yourself for someone. It's okay if that hurts them, because they need to learn to grow on their own. If you don't want to do something, if you're only going to do it to make someone else feel good, but it's something that you don't actually want to put your energy into, then you not doing it and you maybe hurting or triggering that person is perfectly fine. To give you an example, I had an old acquaintance message me on Instagram. And in the past, I feel like I would have answered because I don't like to make people feel rejected or like hurt people's feelings. But I recognize that I don't actually want to have a conversation with this person and I don't actually feel like answering. And so I didn't. And so if that triggers that person, if it hurts that person, that's okay. Please buy my workbook because my phone keeps running out of storage, and every single video I have to like keep deleting videos and airdropping them to my MacBook, and then the angle changes. If anyone wants to buy me a camera, let me know. But when you act out of ego and insecurity and fear instead of authenticity, you might get some bad karma because you're interfering with other people's karma. You're just not following your authentic self. And so it's not going to be what's best for you or what's best for other people always. But I also think sometimes we're meant to have those experiences, and like somehow everything just magically ends up working out for the best, even if in the past you weren't acting in that way. Because even then, sometimes it's a lesson that we needed to learn. And you can avoid that lesson by not doing it, or you can do it and learn the lesson. But yeah, that's what I meant about it's okay if you hurt people. Like, I'm not saying just do things that are morally wrong, but like, it's okay to put yourself first and to not do things that you don't want to do, or to remove yourself from people's lives, because you don't owe anyone anything. And the reality is that no one owes you anything either. You're the only one who you can really rely on and trust to be there for yourself. So you really should be doing that for yourself. A lot of times we're disappointed because we have expectations for people. If people don't act the way that you expect them to, then you can remove them from your life. But the reality is that no one actually owes you anything. No one owes you their presence forever. No one owes you anything. I think it's helpful to just really like appreciate people for who they are and realize that you never know when it's gonna end. But yeah, I think we try to find security in the fact that we can trust someone and that they're gonna act a certain way. But the reality is you never really know, and no one really owes you anything. You can't really expect anything from anyone. But also, like, you should trust people and allow yourself to trust people. If you feel love when you're remembering someone, that's love that you're generating from yourself without even needing their presence. Even when we lose people or things that we love, love always shows up for us in new ways and new experiences. And the universe always gives you what you need, and it always gives you love in new forms. I have some notes written down about when I was watching that video, things I wanted to add. And like I said, that I healed because I really sat with all my emotions, which is true. But there were also like many other reasons that I healed from the breakup so quickly. I have another video that goes more in depth about this, but I just wanted to like list them. Like, first of all, meeting your needs and loving and accepting yourself and giving yourself the comfort and the emotional regulation that you need. And at first, the emotional regulation took time for me, and I kind of essentially felt like I was dying when I was having these really low moods and had no one to turn to. But I would just comfort myself through it and like just let myself experience it. And eventually, after a few weeks, my body stopped having this stress response. Taking really good care of yourself, eating enough, sleeping enough. There were definitely days where I did not sleep enough. but I was really trying my best to take good care of myself because I feel like it is so important. And then also just I started being more authentic in all of my interactions. Like at work, I was always just very closed off and just like coming off as a certain version of me and not actually being myself. And so I think that made me feel really lonely, and I only had this person and like a few friends to rely on who actually allowed me to connect with my authentic self, because I just wasn't being my authentic self in the majority of my interactions. And so something that actually helped me, I think, heal from the breakup was starting to be more social and be more authentic just in my everyday interactions, which is something that I kind of had to work up to and something I had been working up to all year, I feel like, in like getting over all these different fears, because I just used to be afraid to like lose my job or something, or like be rejected, you know? But yeah, I feel like that's so important, because a lot of times we're lonely, we feel like we're not whole just because we're not actually connected to our authenticity, and other people help us connect to our authenticity. But if you're just putting on a mask in the majority of social situations, then you're gonna have this wound. Everything that I judged about him or that bothered me about him, I made sure to address within myself, realizing that he was just a reflection of me. And also everything that he judged about me or wanted to change about me, I made sure to accept those things about myself, because he was just a reflection of the things I didn't accept about myself. Part of healing these different parts of yourself is not acting on your ego, and part of it is just accepting them and like letting them exist and validating them. Because there were all these different parts of me that I didn't acknowledge, but I would see them within him, and recognizing that that was a reflection of me, I was finally able to acknowledge them and validate them. I feel like I finally have like the full picture of the situation now. Like I can really see it for what it was, which means I can see the full picture of myself as well. And I had to cycle through all these different feelings like anger and sadness and negative emotions, and then also love and putting him on a pedestal and seeing all the good in him. And I had to see like the full picture and really accept it for what it was in order to move on from this chapter of my life. And I'm just at a place now where I don't need to only focus on the good in order to feel good, which is how I coped with life for so long. I just tried to stay positive, focus on all the good things in my life, assume the best. I would just ignore like all of the issues and kind of try to forget about them and push them to the back of my mind. But I was finally able to like look at everything and acknowledge everything and still feel good, still feel secure, even when I look at the bad stuff and acknowledge the bad stuff. I've always been really good at being optimistic, but not so good at feeling all of my negative emotions and like allowing myself to be human. And that's just something I'm constantly learning, is just to stop resisting the human experience and allow yourself to feel pain. And the end goal doesn't have to be experiencing less pain. The end goal can just be experiencing life. Although I am experiencing way less pain than I used to, and life is just so much more enjoyable and like actually unbelievable how good I feel every day. Like I literally cry happy tears every day of my life about like how beautiful the trajectory of my life is, and just thinking about if my younger selves could see me now and like understand how good and healthy I feel. Like it literally is so beautiful, and it makes me cry literally every day of my life, but like happy cry. But with that being said, I still am learning like the goal of life is not to feel good all of the time. The goal is just to feel and to experience. But it's like we can know all these different lessons, and it still takes time to really integrate them. And I think we just learn them over and over and are able to apply them even more, because I find myself just learning the same lessons over and over, but at the same time things are changing so much. And even when I make videos, it'll be like messages to my future selves, and I'm like, I obviously knew that information, but now it's like I needed to hear that still, which is interesting. And I'm trying to understand that all the different parts of me are equal, like the parts of me that feel negative emotions and desire and all these different things are equal to the parts of me that feel more positive emotions, and just trying to not rank these things in my head and like view or judge them. I used to judge myself for being human, for being flawed. I've always been good at detaching from things and seeing things from a higher perspective, but what I actually had to learn most on my spiritual awakening journey was learning to be human and sit in my emotions and accept the human experience and embracing my flaws and realizing that being a flawed human is beautiful and it's what life is all about. I get drawn to certain people and like certain TV shows or whatever that are like reflecting things back to me. And last week it was Taylor Swift. I don't like to put any celebrities on a pedestal, and I don't like to hate or judge celebrities either, because I just feel like being a celebrity would be so hard, and you know, we're all just flawed humans and you really don't actually know what they're like or anything like that. But I always kind of judged Taylor Swift and was kind of very confused by the amount of fame that she has. But now I realize that it was a part of myself that I didn't accept. This part of myself that loves romance and like wants relationships and like misses people and has crushes and all this stuff. That was a part of myself that I didn't accept. And I was like, oh, I'm better than that. I'm above that. Like, I'm not like these other people. I'm not desperate for love. But the reality is that there's a part of me that does want that. And so I feel like I'm finally embracing that part of myself. And so I was kind of drawn to like videos of Taylor Swift and realizing, oh, it's because I finally accept this part of myself that she really embodies. And all of the people who love her also love and accept this part of themselves. And that's why they love her, because she is embodying it. Like, she embraces her attachment to men and her desire to be skinny. And these are all things that are parts of me. They're thoughts that come up and they're beliefs that I have, you know, that were ingrained by society that I just rejected. And I was like, no, that's not who I am. And I don't act on them. Like, when other people will talk about like wanting to be skinny, I don't really like to engage in those conversations and like act like being skinny is like the most important thing ever. But then in reality, there's a part of me that like obviously cares about my appearance and like has that ingrained in me from society as well. And so I'm finally able to like integrate these parts of myself and acknowledge them. It's good that I never changed my eating habits to try to be skinny, or that I never was so desperate for love that I was like in toxic relationships. But I still can acknowledge like there are parts of me that want certain things and like desire certain things, and I'm just a flawed human like everyone else. And you can just acknowledge that it's there and not have to act on it. But I wasn't even acknowledging that it was there before, really. I think I've also been trying to detach by not labeling things as negatives, like not labeling the things that happen to me as negative. A lot of times I stay up really late and then I like feel bad about it, and I think it's a bad thing, and I think that I should go to sleep earlier. But I've been trying to instead assume like this is what's for the best, this is what's meant to be happening, and it's okay. And it does always end up okay, but I still have these like beliefs that I should go to sleep earlier. But sometimes instead of trying to change things, we should just accept them as they are. But also you can try to change them if you want, but also accept them as they are in that moment, and you could change it in the future. This video is kind of all over the place, but hopefully you gained something from it. Please leave a comment. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.